welcome to the 100 Authors in 100 Day show here with me, Adriana. And today I get to interview Carina Quintana. Our show is all about finding out the story behind the story, where I interview writers, authors, luminaries, and people changing the world. Carina Quintana is a good friend of mine. She is a 15-year corporate executive that left the corporate world to follow her passion and establish her nonprofit. From the Heart organization as a philanthropist for the past 15 years, both in the United States and in Latin America. She has worked with worldwide organizations like La Isla Network and Buddhism Foundation, just to name a few. She's passionate about transforming the world for the better through acts of kindness and compassion. Ooh, I love that. She has helped fed and educate villages in the US, Nicaragua, and Mexico, and continues her efforts to promote healthier lifestyles through education while bringing doctors to the villages where the needy cannot go to the doctors. She's currently a member of the Latinas 100 community. Yes. And a published co-author, which I have the book right here, a book about leaving a legacy and inspiring the next generation. As she continues to educate and speak around the globe, she is determined to leave a dent in the universe through her work, her passion to see a better future for humanity. I love it. Hi, Karina, ¿cómo estás?
Good, good. Gracias, Adriana. Thank you so much for this opportunity to be part of this amazing project of Latinas 100. I was thinking of that day that Pastor Johnny Morales introduced us, and I really believe that was divine intervention because I just admire your heart. You know, you're such an inspiration to so many of us and have such a humble spirit that you're always looking for those ways to bring people up with you. It's not just you that you want to better yourself, but you're always looking for ways to help other women and men. And I believe that with this project of Latinas 100, that is what you have done for many of us. You have opened that door of opportunities for us to do something that we've never done, you know, write a book or be part of a book. So I truly appreciate that, Adriana.
Oh, thank you. That's so nice. I didn't pay her to say that. That is so sweet.
Oh, she
Thank you.
did
No,
not.
this show is about you, girl. Okay, so I take that. I receive it. I receive that. I'm humbled by it, and yeah, it's a lot more fun when you take people with you. That's for sure. It's always a lot more fun, and I'm grateful that I get the opportunity to write with you and so many beautiful women and men, because we had one writer, and other men are also interested in doing volume two. So just so that for the viewers to know, if you're watching, Karina is one of the co-authors of this book called The Latinas 100, Leaving a Legacy, Inspiring the Next Generation. And it is both, it has English stories and Spanish stories. And there's two books. One is based out of the United States, which is this one, and it has her and all the other women that also were co-authors, and then another one that is based out of Mexico, and Lulu Aro, who's a partner in this community leading in the project. She takes care of all of Latin America, because this project, we have women from over 12 countries. Can you believe it? So um
Wow.
it's been an amazing journey. I think we're going to get more countries. Like I would love to say by the end of next year, would love to say we have 30 countries participating. Wouldn't that be awesome? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
So Karina has her story in this book that we launched December of last year. I'm going to put the link below so you can all watch it if you haven't already. And Karina, that's interesting that you mentioned Johnny Morales, because I remember that was such a long time ago. And I too believe that it was
Yes.
divine intervention, because he kind of like paired us together, and then we volunteered a couple of places. And it was, the rest is history, right? And I was really grateful too when you
Yes.
said that you
Yeah.
would write your story, because as you know, it's a really brave thing to share who you are, um, especially if you don't
Yes.
have the most pleasant upbringing. Like I'm talking about my upbringing and myself, and then you also shared your journey. So I don't want to ruin it for the people that are watching, but I definitely want to ask you, about why you decided to choose the title for the story, because I have you here. You're in page, for those who are going to buy the book from her, you can go to her webpage. She has the book there. Um, she's in page 46. Oh, well, at least for the Spanish version. In the English version, I don't have it with me, but um, following your dream, siguiendo tu
Yes,
sueño. So why did you choose that title? Why
yes.
why why share that story?
I believe, Adriana, since I was a little girl, without even knowing, I've always been following something. I really didn't know what it was, but I knew there was something greater out there, a reason of why am I here? You know, why did God bring me to this world? And trying to find a purpose of existence. And I feel that that's what drove me into places where I could volunteer, you know, just be of service to others, people in need. For example, you know, we were there at Shannon West, a homeless youth center together, where we used to go and volunteer and had baking activities with them and did vision boards. So I think that's why I chose that title, because it was just very meaningful to me of what I've been seeing throughout my life.
Hmm. Yeah, well, I read your story, of course, because I was part of the editing team and getting all the stories. And one of the things that I didn't know about you, even though we had been friends for a long time, we have been friends for a long time, was that when you were a young girl and you came to the United States, your dad was basically, he had a job, or initially was having trouble finding a job, and then you guys were moving from one house to another, like really not having a place. And I think you had said before that, and you can expand on that as well, when we were volunteering at Shannon West with the homeless teens, a lot of them, same story, right? They were not that you were homeless or anything, but you were like from one house to another, not really having like a place. Can you share a little bit more about that, because that's also in your story?
Yes, as you mentioned, it was my parents and five kids. And of course, we didn't have our own place, so we had to room with relatives. And for the first, I can't remember if it was 2 or 3 years that we did go from one relative's house to another relative's, because I mean, there was seven of us. So of course, it is kind of a burden for the relatives as well. It's understanding, you know, they have their own family, and so it was difficult until my dad was able to make enough to get our own place. And as you are growing up, you do build those insecurities about yourself of not fitting in, especially that we didn't speak the language. That just made it even more difficult. And I
Mhm.
think that's why, you know, volunteering at Shannon West was just a beautiful experience for me to try to show those kids that, you know, they are enough, and that they are important, and that, you know, people do care about what happens to them, and that their circumstances that they're living at that moment doesn't define the rest of their future.
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true. Wow, that's powerful. You remember that one young lady who was sharing when you were doing the vision boarding, and then she said something like, thank God to that program that she was able to get out, because her life was so miserable with her all this craziness that was going on in her house, that she thought that that kind of horribleness would never end. But then she found that program, Shannon West, and she finally felt safe. Remember that?
Yes.
It was like so
It was,
crazy.
you know what, it was a good place for them. They really tried to take care of them and prepare them to go out on their own, you know, to find a job and get their own place and really create a better life for them. So it was definitely a wonderful program that's out there in Vegas.
Yeah, and then another thing too about, well, your story, there's, read the book. You all gotta go to her webpage, fromtheheartorganization.com, or no, .org, right? .org. I'll have the
No,
link.
.com.
.com, okay, .com. Go to
Yes.
her webpage and buy the book. Um, Another thing with that is, can you share a little bit about why you started the nonprofit and why you went that route? I mean, I know that since I've known you, because I know you personally, right? But share with the audience why you have such a passion to do this philanthropic work in this organization.
Since like I said, since very young, I remember in my early 20s that I used to look for places to volunteer. It was mainly focused with children, with young kids. I used to volunteer over at the Child Haven in Vegas.
Oh,
And it just was, yeah, I don't know if I've ever shared that with you, but I would go volunteer there after working my shift. After working my work, I would go over there and volunteer for a couple hours and play with the kids. It was just, I think maybe it was that I just wanted them to feel loved and to feel that someone cared about them.
yeah.
And from there, I started going to Nicaragua. My husband's family is from Nicaragua, and that's how I got involved with Nicaragua. I have to say that it's been God. I don't think that I necessarily searched for it, but I believe that it was something that was impressed in my heart to do. And I just been following that feeling and letting it guide me. And that's how I ended up in Nicaragua, and now volunteering over here in Mexico, or actually now with a nonprofit doing events, food distribution, especially with the COVID. There's been a lot of people that have lost their jobs and have not been able to provide for their families.
That's yeah, that's true. Well, as you were looking for the story that you wanted to share in this book, what did you think about your writing process and this idea of sharing your story with the world? Like, how did you figure out that that was a story you wanted to share? But then also, how did you feel in the process? Can you share a little bit about that?
Yes, when you first asked me, I have to say I was very nervous and even a little hesitant just because I had never done that before. So the hardest thing for me was determining what story was going to be the best fit for the purpose of the book. The next generation that we want to reach, and especially the younger women. I believe we were trying to, of course, focus on everyone, but young women.
Yeah.
And so trying to figure out the story that would inspire the reader was the hardest part for me, because I wanted them to see that no obstacle is too great, that if you're willing to put in the work, that you can achieve your goals, your dream, whatever it is that you have in mind. But you have to know, you have to put in the work. It just doesn't fall on your lap.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the hardest struggle, was finding one that was going to portray that to the
Yeah.
reader.
I think you did a good job with choosing this one. I mean, I know I have the Spanish version, but in English, I don't know why, but this sticks with me every time that I talk about your story. At the end, you say, well, in Spanish, dice, ahora ve y tómalo. Ama a muchos, confía en pocos, pero siempre navega tu propio barco. But in English, it's really funny. That's what I remember is like, paddle your own canoe. Can you share that with us? Like,
Yes.
I love it. It's so cute.
Yeah, and I think it's that that we really have to be driven to go after our dream and not necessarily rely on other people to do the work for us. Of course,
Yes.
we
Thank
always need
you. You
help.
gotta do it, dude. You gotta do the work.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
That's what
and
I remember
that is
from
one
reading
thing
it.
I admire about you. You're always working. You're always working.
Maybe
You're
too
always
much.
at
Maybe
it,
too
and
much, but yeah. Yeah.
yes.
But you know what?
Yeah.
The thing is that like you get what you work for pretty much. If you put in the time, then you get, you know, exponential back like it does. I mean, I've seen it,
Yeah.
as you know, um, the abundance in life with regards to relationships and people, and it's just a beautiful way. But what the reason why I remember your story is because what is the expression? Um,
Paddle your own canoe.
yeah, yeah. What is the but it was the last sentence that you wrote. And then I was like, yeah, because I know you, and I would have never thought that you would use that expression. And I was like, I love it. It's so true, dude. You got to paddle your own canoe sometimes. And then maybe sometimes people will help you. Like, I've always struggled with asking for help because I just, I think I'm alone, una isla by myself, right? But no, you do have to ask for help. And so I've struggled, and even before we started this conversation, right? Hey, Karina, can you help me with this? You know?
Yeah.
It's very hard for me to ask for help, but it's something that I needed to learn, and then also to delegate, because when you have a business, as you know, you have to delegate, or when you have an organization, you can't do it all yourself. So there is a point, but I love this idea that you express in the book, is that you definitely have these big dreams and follow your dreams, and remember, you have to, at the end of the day, you still have to paddle your own canoe, man, because no one's going to do it for you. And maybe you're the only
Yes.
one who's always going to be paddling, and there's people that are going to like kind of break away, and not be with you. When you'll start with a certain group of people, but then when you reach your goal, it's a completely different group of people. And you may or may not agree, but that isn't there. Have you noticed that in life, depending on what phase you are in life, there's some people that show up, and the people that you thought were going to help you, or the people that you thought that you were going to end the race with, are not there anymore.
Yes. Yes. No, it's true. I think some people drop, kind of fall behind or on their own, take a different route or decide that it's not for them because,
Yeah,
sometimes people do realize that it's maybe harder than that they thought to do.
exactly.
And so sometimes we're not willing, to do the work and go for it. Like even for me at the beginning, when I was trying to put the essay together, it was hard. I probably rewrote that thing like 8 times.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to give up. I'm going to go ahead and take this opportunity and just do it.
Yeah. What did you learn from completing the essay and from sharing your story?
It was a humbling experience. I learned I had to be very patient and kind with myself when things were not showing up as I thought that they were. As you know, I was writing the first one in chronological order,
Oh yeah.
which wasn't looking that great.
A lot of people did
And
that.
so,
Yeah.
yes, but then I realized, well, just listen to your inner self. Just go within, and things will start arising from there, and you'll start seeing things more clear.
Mhm.
And so I think that's what I would say that I learned, that just being patient and kind to myself, because I was getting a little frustrated that I wasn't able to, that it wasn't looking the way I wanted it to present.
Mhm. What have you felt about just the project in general, in terms of, the group, because you've been there in the community since the beginning, right? Since we launched the Latinas 100 community, and now you've seen it grow to over 200 women and men, all participating and engaging. What has that experience been for you?
It's been a wonderful experience, just to see, um, to read some of the other women's stories have been so uplifting as well. That so many of us think sometimes we are alone in our own little world, and we're the only ones going through difficult times. But we truly, everyone is. That is life's journey. We're all going to have our challenges, but we can overcome them. We just have to stand firm and go beyond our troubles, and stay positive. I think that was one of the biggest thing that I took out of reading the other stories as well, is just that, having that positive attitude, that no obstacle is too great that you cannot overcome.
I love that. And I love that your story is an example of that, because when people read your story, they get to know you a little bit, and everything that you've struggled and you've gone through, and then you overcame it, and you still were a corporate executive, extremely successful, and you did volunteer work, and now you have an organization, and now you're a co-author, and you're going to publish more. I know you are. And you have all these big things going on. As apart from, yes, there was a struggle. And so I think that any young person that reads it, or for that matter, anybody that reads your book or reads this portion of you in this book, will get that message. And it's a really powerful one. So I'm glad that you shared it. I'm glad that you were brave enough, because I know that you and I agree that it is a brave thing to share a piece of you, because you didn't share everything. You shared one story, right? Um,
Right. Right.
it takes courage. It takes courage to step out and say, this is one part of me, and I'm sharing it with the world, because there's a benefit for anybody that reads it, and I definitely see a benefit for all the stories that were shared. So I think that I admire you for that, for being courageous in doing it. Because I also want you to think about this, and for the listeners that are listening, is think about your circle of influence, the people that are around you, how many people have like an incredible story, but they don't share it with anyone, because they're ¿qué van a decir? Like, what are people going to say? You know, or no digas
Yeah,
nada
we're
porque esas
always
cosas no se cuentan, So,
right, right. And I think that would be one of my advice, to the people that read the book is, we can't just hesitate about taking new challenges. If it's going to create growth in us, in our profession, and our passion, just go for it, because the sense of fear really never goes away. We just have to learn how to manage it. And it's going to intimidate us in different phases of our life's journey. But in the critics, as you were saying, the critics are always going to be there too. That's just something, because we all think different, so don't take it personal. Just go and dare to present yourself and take the stage of your life and go for it.
yes, I love that. Awesome. Oh, that's so cool. So definitely, for you listening out there in to this 100 Authors 100 Day show, go to her webpage, check out the book. Karina, what are the final words that you want to leave for the next generation, for anybody reading or learning about this project? What do you want to leave?
Well, I want to say that from my own personal experience is that when you're authentic, being yourself and trusting that in your actions, um, about being, your greater purpose, like trying to reach your greater purpose, that you will find that the more you take a step, the more God takes a step. So just trusting in that, that a divine being. For me, it's God. Some other people, it might be different, but for me, it's God. So just trusting that there's a divine being behind you when your motives are right. So if you're doing things with clean hands and a pure heart, you're going to succeed. There's no reason why not to succeed. So just go for it. I truly believe the money comes when you do things for the right motives. So just go and follow your dream. Don't pull back. It's an amazing project, Latinas 100. It's an open door for so many of us that would have never thought of being part of a book or writing a book.
Awesome. What a wonderful message. So thank you so much, Karina, for hanging out with me today in the 100 Authors 100 Days show. I appreciate you. I love you, my friend. I'm so excited that I get to be published with you. And I will definitely leave all the links below so everybody can check out and find out more about her. You can buy the book from her on her webpage. And I look forward to the next conversation when you launch your book, whatever title that is. I can give you a few suggestions, but I will see everyone soon. Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you, Karina.
Thank you, Karina.